Hi, and welcome once again to What's the Damage? Companion show to the incredibly well-known and popular real play D&D show, Roll for Damage. Your life is a finite number of hours, so why not spend one of them talking about D&D? That's our motto here at What's the Damage? Anyway, Friday's slightly gross episode saw the Shields of Twilight busily running around town. A trip to the library revealed some very pertinent information regarding the next leg of their journey. It also revealed a little fascinating tidbit about Baltain's family, very plot relevant. Surely this plot cannot thicken anymore before becoming just completely solid, unstirrable, unsalvageable. It can probably thicken a little bit more. Anyway, after returning from their research trip, the parties split a bit. Most of them going to get fucking crunk, which they did, and Oriana going on a dinner date, which turned out not to be with Cade, as she told the group, but with Lex, who she decided to have a conversation with by herself without letting the group know. It didn't go so great, maybe. Sorry, I just got a pop up. And we'll see how this affects the parties' ongoing negotiations with Lux Eterna, and whether or not they're going to keep working together, being colleagues, and stuff. It's still very up in the air right now. Anyway, Oriana didn't have fun, but everyone else did, stumbling home very late and very drunk. Sometimes just gotta let loose and throw up all over poor Quinn, and poor Quinn's poor armor. It was a very gross episode, honestly. But we won't be talking about that because it wasn't that plot relevant. We will be talking about other more plot relevant things in just a moment. And then later on, we're going to be talking about DMing for the first time, which is we're revisiting the subject because of a very exciting thing that happened with one of our players. Not in game, but out game. As always, stick around after the stream for links, charities, and resources. I'm your host, Truth Venson, and this is What's the Damage? Welcome back. We have got two wonderful guests today. We have got wonderful Chad, who plays our very favorite paladin. And then we've got Laura, who plays our beautiful and wonderful Peregrine, our druid sorcerer, or sorcerer.
Sorcerer.
We're saying moon sorcerer right now. It makes the most sense.
That sounds better than sorcerer.
I think sorcerer works because, why not? It's a fine portmanteau.
It sounds a bit like some kind of furniture you'd get from IKEA, I think.
It does. That's what makes it work even better. You're pointing out a feature, not a bug.
Beautiful. Anyway, guys, you both got quite drunk in the episode. You did some research and Perry specifically had another fraud conversation with Oriana. What's the damage?
Oriana is specifically the damage at this time.
Quinn's boots are the damage a little bit.
Hey, they're magical. That shit hosed right off. Same as the armor. The shit hosed right off.
I remember Sorority specifically saying there were some chunks.
Yeah, that's fine. It's because it's chain link,
and I specifically said too many strawberries. So
yeah, so you put that in the world, and it's your fault that there were apparently chunks of strawberry all up in my shit. But that's fine. I got to get up back and hose the thing down, and then give it to professionals for a proper cleaning. Everything worked out. And again, this is why most of the shit Quinn has is magical for one reason or other. Cleanup.
Ease of cleaning. Ease of cleaning.
I mean,
just wait till I get magical full fucking plate. I will be just stain resistant from head to toe.
Scotch guard.
The Scotch guarded paladin. That's what I will be.
Oh my god. Laura, were you trying to say something?
Probably. I talk a lot.
No.
Lordy. Yeah, I just said we weren't going to talk about the gross stuff, but apparently I lied.
No, we hit that right off the bat. That's the content that you're here for.
There we go. We got it out of the way. We got it out of the way. We're being serious.
Yeah, now we can get to the plot part.
Talking about serious stuff that seriously happened.
Stuff.
Very serious stuff.
Serious.
Serious. Okay, so let's start with like the research you're doing at the library, because you guys found out some very interesting stuff, which is probably going to turn out to be useful. Talk about that.
Yes. I mean, it's nice that we are finally getting into the habit of look into place we're going to go before we get there, because we have now learned that there's always going to be one thing, just at least one fact, that if we don't know, it will try to kill us. For example, the worms we didn't learn about when we left the Zrithmar. That did try to kill us. And now we know that apparently if we go trying to pick flowers on a certain side of the border, that's considered very bad. And that's the one thing that I need to do across said border is be like, hi, I need some of these flowers, please. It's for a good reason. Don't look at me. I'm taking these flowers.
Don't question it. It's fine.
Exactly. But now I know I have to get permission and I will be questioned. So it's good to know this shit in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that we've gotten into that habit at least.
Yeah.
You did other research. You say stuff.
Perry's very concerned about the world ending.
I mean, as are we all.
Creepy things that are happening. So she got things that were completely unrelated to the things that they've experienced, but names to be aware of now.
She did get all those demon names.
She did get a couple of unknown entities and a couple of like princes. So
yeah, very cool that you got that.
Grateful for the assist, because research not Perry's bag.
I mean, not necessarily mine either, but at least I am proficient in it, so I can help.
Teamwork.
Yay, it makes the dream work. It makes the library not suck.
It was a very productive library session, though.
It was
very productive.
Now I also need to learn how I can do like I need some sort of like high-speed hallowing type of effect. Like I need to see if
it's gonna happen.
Look, at some point there's going to be like a D&D infomercial. The part of the beginning is gonna be all in black and white, and it'll have the very frustrated divine class type character trying to do stuff on unhallowed ground, and then
trying to read his book while like stomping a zombie back into the ground.
And then make that
happen to you.
Yeah, and then make that supremely frustrated face, the open mouth, disgusted look, and with there's got to be a better way, and then you find out about Turbo Hallow for the low price of $99.95 gold. It can be yours.
Amazing. What needs to happen is Quinn and Campion need to partner to create a more efficient hallowing.
You know, that might actually
Turbo Hallow,
work.
that's a Campion invention.
This just seemed like a very Campion thing to make.
It does.
Much like the flashlight.
The Illuminator 5000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love me some Campion tech.
Yeah, I was begging you got to add 5,000 that, because it just makes it sound so much, more extra.
Yeah,
more extra.
Extra.
More sciencey,
Yeah, extra sciencey.
Extra science. I I did like the little T is fake news sequence that happened in the middle of the episode. That was very funny.
That was
One day
was
Perry's
nice.
gonna get him to drink tea.
He doesn't like it.
And enjoy it for its medicinal purposes.
Yeah, I did like how Perry was like, your medicines are made of herbs. You use herbs too.
Those potions, herbs.
I mean, we went to the same place to buy herbalism kits together.
Mm-hmm. And also tea at the same location. Like, there's a lot of interconnectivity with these items. Why do you refuse to see that?
Look,
because it's gritty.
It's gritty. It doesn't say 5,000. You just tell him it's T5000.
That's what Barry's gonna do next time. She's gonna get a tea cup and like paint 5,000 on it.
Try 5,000. Also, apparently he needs to like strain that better, because if it's gritty, then I think he's been drinking sand water.
If it's loose leaf tea, it can get a little bit gritty.
Yeah, but then you get like, I don't know the name of the thing, like one of those T-ball thing. Yeah, tea diffuser.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah, you put it, you don't just dump the leaves straight in the water. You put it in a thing. Like, what are you, a savage? No, you put it inside some sort of container, and then you steep said tea, remove the container, and oh my God, there's not a bunch of shit floating in there. It's not gritty. It's a miracle of science.
Read the tea leaves. You can read them then.
That's
not
clearly
Campion.
not science, because we had a very, very specific conversation about how astrology and such was not science. So I'm imagining that tea leaf divination is also not science.
No, that is science. The astrology, not science. Tea leaves, no, I'm sorry. The physics of how they lay in the bottom of the cup can actually predict patterns because of gravity, wind direction. There is science that goes into that. So that would work.
Sure.
Look, I'm thinking about what kind of crazy fucking shit would be said by this mad scientist that we're wandering about with to defend weird points. And this is the thing that came off the top of my head. So don't.
Sure.
Perfect.
Shut up.
Absolutely perfect.
Tea is fake news, but tea leaves are real.
Tea leaves can see the future.
Makes perfect sense.
That's
Anyway, so another little tidbit of information that Baltane shared. I believe Baltane shared with the group, or was it Sinric? It was Sinric plus Baltane. Was that Lex's last name is Scottfield, which means she's apparently tied into this whole thing.
Yes.
What do you guys think about this revelation?
Yeah, Baltane shared that, and then Sinric shared the connection between the 2 points.
Much later.
Yeah. But yes, go on. You were going to respond. I just wanted to. That is the path that information took.
I don't know. Perry's just fascinated by how everything seems to be connected, like in really weird ways. Like the whole Butcher thing just threw her for a loop. She's like, "Oh shit, Butcher, not the worst guy. I mean, he's clearly not a good guy. You don't get the name Butcher."
You earned that name.
He had a shop.
A brief moment when we met him, though, that Perry was like, "I pretended to be him one time."
I hope you never heard about that.
Yeah.
But like seeing that was connected to Baltane's story, and so it's like, oh no, Dobby.
I mean, everything is just so gloriously interconnected. It's as though there's some Canadian madwoman at the reins of this entire thing, just making sure the narratives all make sense and doing a hell of a job at it.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what you mean. It's obviously just fate.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's all coincidences. Just a lot of coincidences.
Yeah.
Fate just happens to say things like Zed and sorry.
The nature of a chaotic universe,
It's very true. Everything is chaos. But no, that was very interesting how things are more interconnected than we think, even with people that are outside of the party.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing is very, very interesting. Like exactly how deep do some things go?
Yeah.
And then it becomes hard to not start sounding like most of the characters that Jay has ever made when it comes to conspiracies. Because
you mean the ones with the murder board and the red yarn?
I'm gonna get that boy a ball of red yarn for Christmas. I'm gonna send it to him and be like, here, buddy, put it on a cork board and just go nuts.
And he'll be like, thanks. I'll buy my other balls of red yarn.
I'm sure he cleared out a whole yarn barn of like every bit of red they had.
Yeah, there's like character art on a cork board, and it's just like, over there, there's a picture of Asmodeus, and over here, there's a picture of Butcher.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
It is all connected. It is cool, like seeing all of the like disparate pieces of the plot, like sort of come and weave together and being like, this is coming to some kind of head. It's all coming together.
Yeah, it is very interesting how that all keeps working out. I love when it comes up because we never expect whatever the connection is going to be. Just all of a sudden, we see something like, wait, what? Oh, fuck. And that's basically the whole thought process is, huh? Oh. And it gets very intriguing whenever that stuff comes up, because then we have to figure out, because it comes to the point where once that information comes out, we have to sort of, as players, take a step back and just ask ourselves a very important question. Were we stupid and didn't notice this ages ago, or is this actually brand new information? And, it's like, I want to say 50-50. I'm not actually married to that number. I know my ratio is probably off. There's probably been clues for shit we totally missed that became when it slapped us in the face and became blatantly obvious. Then it was something we definitely should have figured out before. But other times I know there has to have been at least one where it was just sort of, when we figured it out that there was actually a connection, like, oh, there was no hint of this at all. This is completely surprising and interesting. What else kind of craziness is going to occur here?
Yeah. I think the funniest thing though is like watching us on the screen, and like I'll have the Zoom call up so I can see everybody, and you'll just watch it like go across somebody's brain. Like it hasn't happened in character yet, but like somebody will just click and go, oh shit. And just all of a sudden, I'm really guilty of going, oh no.
Oh. Yes, love you mean it, but your poker face is complete shit.
It's fun seeing you do like little face journeys.
Oh yeah. Her face does go on a definite journey between like the realization of the initial implication and then any other implications that come out. Like, oh no. It's worth tuning in every Friday to witness the facial journey of my wife.
Featuring Laura and her many faces. I will say all of this is very interesting as a viewer as well, because like you do kind of like vaguely remember all the foreshadowing that's happened, and having that all come together and like snap into place is always really enjoyable, because that's the nature of narratives. Like little hints are sprinkled throughout and they don't make sense until they do, and you're like, oh that makes sense. It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, some of it's just like rifling through our notebooks like, wait a minute. Oh, fuck. Fuck.
Just trying to find that one obscure line you were writing down in a hurry because there's so much other shit going on. Like, aha! There it is. Right there in scribbly ink.
It's all in the ink. Cool beans. Okay, so moving on, we got kind of Cynric's perspective on this in particular last week, but how do your two characters feel about like your relationship with Lux and like how it started, where it's going, how it's progressed, like the kind of shaky position it is right now? Yeah.
I mean, for one thing, Perry recognizes how absolutely lopsided it has been. Like, and she also recognizes that has been changing. Like, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, and we were stumbling around and flailing and screwing up constantly and needing to rely on someone. But as we've progressed and, in a meta state, as we've leveled up, we've become more confident. We've gotten more abilities. We've needed them less and less, but we still should be working together as far as she's concerned. We have a common goal, and they can't be everywhere. Neither can we. But together we can be more places. And yeah, we've got internal shit going on for us, but so do they. Lex literally had to have a gunfight with their friend. They've got shit going on that's going to distract them. So we can pick up where they need to leave off.
Right.
And so she thinks that if we can develop an equal partnership, and really work together as professionals who respect each other, we can do a hell of a lot more good than we can do on our own. Besides, we're going to wind up stumbling after them more often than not anyway, because we're going to be fixated on things like we need to deal with these shackles, even though we really can't handle them. Because like, Perry's not going to leave her fate in the hands of anybody else. Not anymore. Like, that's been a big part of her growth.
And Perry is quite concerned with the whole world ending thing.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Yeah. I mean, as far as
live there, so
yeah, you do live there.
It's where she keeps all her stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Quinn's pretty much of a similar mindset because, I mean, while he may not like the way that they have treated the group, as far as they seem to be there just at the right time when the group has made some sort of catastrophic mistake, and then read a litany of our failures at the time. And yeah, I grant you that out of character, I recognize that is just basically how it feels, because that's the narrative timing of when they show up versus when we fuck up. It's these two things happen to dovetail inconveniently. Yeah. And then it feels worse than it actually is, because it's basically like, whenever you make a mistake, you don't want someone to say like, boy, you really fucked that up, didn't you, buddy? And like, yes, I know, go away. It's not a conversation.
Like, we know.
Yeah. Like, I'm aware. I'm aware. Fuck off. Like it's not a conversation. Yeah, exactly.
I experienced this myself just like 5 seconds ago. Thanks.
Yes. Avert your gaze from me and leave. Like, that's not a conversation that you want to have. That's the conversation that we have had. And like I said, it's not like we haven't screwed up immensely, or, at least in very public ways at times. And it's not like the criticisms aren't deserved. They just are very poorly timed when they are given, because it's like, yes, we know we messed up. Can we not talk about it right now? Can we just sit down for a few minutes?
Please don't sprinkle salt in this very fresh wound.
Yes, don't squirt lemon juice on the paper cuts. Miracle Max says it's a bad idea. Don't do it. But all that being said, he does recognize that they are an essential part of what it is they are trying to do. Because much like with what Laura said about what Perry is wanting to do, Quinn also does not want to leave the whole thing of the shackles of Tharizdun or being marked by the god of darkness and all that crap in the hands of anyone but himself. Because if that's still something that is hanging over his head like a proverbial sword of Damocles, he does not want to not be dealing with that directly. Because if he is going to still live with that over him, he needs to have agency in taking care of that himself. And then as far as any other stuff, we have actually pointed out more things that they were not aware of in the wider world because they were busy doing other stuff. Yeah. So that one thing already, like she had said, they can't be everywhere. We apparently can be everywhere they're not, because it's a game of D&D, we just randomly stumble into shit that's very, very important. Therefore, we get this information that they don't have.
Yeah.
So it's a thing that I think should continue, because if it doesn't, we're basically just going to be stumbling into one another blind at various times, not realizing what's already being done on either side, because there's going to be no communication, no doing of anything like that, no coordination. And it'll just make things worse in the long run, because, it's not something we can give up on doing, even though we probably should. We can't.
Yeah. And to be fair to your characters and to Quinn's perspective, like, Lex did tell him that, hey, you guys can go live your lives, but that's not really true.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
he said so in the moment.
Like, once you get hooked into this kind of world ending, your souls are marked by a dark god thing. It's not something that you can kind of just live a normal life with.
Yeah, especially because we know what's going to happen if any of us die without this being sorted out. And like, oh, just go live your life, and do what with it? I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing now. Yeah, apparently I have to go live somewhere quietly and hope I don't choke on something and die before my time without someone being able to get to me with a fucking Heimlich maneuver. Or God forbid, Quinn wanders into a beehive and gets filled with apitoxin, and he happens to be allergic like the player himself, and then dies in the fucking woods. And then because he blundered into an apiary, he ends up being the chew toy of a dark god. there is no justice in that narrative, and I ain't living it out. Thank you. Goodbye.
Are paladins immune to bee venom?
I mean, it depends on if it's counted as a disease.
I would say
it's a poison.
It's a poison.
It is a poison.
It's a toxin. It's apatoxin.
Yeah. Well, I'm immune to disease. I'm not immune to. I don't think I'm immune to. Am I immune? No, I'm not immune to poison. I know monks are immune to poison.
Oh, okay.
Paladins, I believe, are just immune to disease. I'm looking it up now because I don't remember my own shit if I'm not playing. Okay, back off.
That's what our DDB sheets are for.
Exactly. Come on, internet, hurry up. I'm immune to diseases. It's diseases.
Okay, it's just disease. So if you mean a bee, you're still fucked. Okay, gotcha.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Bees, it's still a problem.
He's still a problem, but you won't die of the flu, so that's good.
This is true. I won't die of a disease. Being stung a bunch?
Immune to plagues.
I'm immune to the plague, but I'm immune to the plague, but not nuts. That damn nut allergy is gonna lay him low.
Man, it was so easy to die back in like medievally times too. So
I mean, that's kind of where we stand though, is like we don't have normal lives to go back to either. Like Perry's whole village is being consumed and turned into soldiers for Tharizdun. Like Perry's like, what am I supposed to do here?
I can't ignore that. Yeah.
I left and I've changed my entire life path to fix this problem. I can't just go back and be like, well, y'all, I didn't figure it out. I'm sorry. We're fucked.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, and at the same point, Quinn has nowhere to go either, because most of the people he's ever known got sucked up in that whole reaping thing, and their souls are being tormented in an unrelated fashion to the souls of Perry's people somewhere else, and he has to go fix that too. So it's not like he can go home and do what? Live with like the 6 people that didn't get sucked up in this whole thing? No, that would be really weird.
Depressing.
It's like, well, yeah, I went and I tried to fix it. Didn't work.
Hi.
And that's the end of it.
Yeah. I assume all this will be kind of the cornerstone of your case to Lex about why you should keep working together. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is going to be coming up, because it's one thing, like when Quinn sort of ended up not meaning to have that conversation, and then it started, he did point out, like, I can't not do this stuff. It's like, once you know something is a problem, you can't unsee the problem. And if you then don't act on that information, what does that say about you as a person?
Yeah. Cool. Speaking of conversations with Lex, so we went a little bit late, but we got to talk about this because it's a major plot point. Oriana did go and see Lex by herself, and Quinn does not know about this yet, but Perry does. So my impression of Perry was that she was just kind of like very tired and exasperated as she was being told about this.
That was a lot of it. Was like Perry was tired. Like we went out and we did a fun bonding thing because like she's been working very hard to try to like unify the group and say, let's work together. And she's sort of like stepped up to try to lead a little bit. And she was so proud of the conversation that morning because we all were on the same page and we had actually come up with like a decent argument. We just wanted to like let it simmer and decide, okay, well, how do we approach this? Because I don't want to just like run up on Lex at lunchtime and be like, hey, we want to work together.
Everybody's got to be on message.
So like I figure, we'll let everybody do their thing. We'll all do our research and, all of that and come back. And so Perry's like super excited. And then we go do a fun thing. And I get back and Oriana's like, by the way, I did something really bad again. Remember that thing you just yelled at me to stop doing? I did it again. And Perry's very, very tired of being understanding. Like she's tried to one-on-one have a conversation with her. She has tried to confront her with everybody behind her. Nothing seems to work. And Perry's tired of telling Oriana how to be a good person. Like Oriana literally comes and's like, I did a bad and I don't know why I'm like this. I want to be better. And Perry's like, well, then be better. I can't make you. You got to be better yourself. So for Perry, it's just, she's tired. She's very tired and very disappointed. because she's given Oriana a great deal of grace. And at this point, it's starting to feel like Oriana is basically spitting in her face.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to come to you and ask for your advice, but I'm not going to listen. And I'm going to get mad when everybody's mad that I did something that hurts the group. Because, well, what about me? And Perry's one of those people who is very self-sacrificing to a fault, in a bad way sometimes. Like, she's thrown herself at monsters. And so Perry doesn't really have that concept of like being very concerned about yourself. And that's like a conflict for her and Oriana. And it's a really interesting one that like leads to a lot of growth between the two of them, because Perry needs to learn to take care of Perry. But at the same time, like, she can't sit back and say, okay, well, it's fine that you screwed us over again and again and again. It hurts. And I'm tired.
Strong words from Perry. So one thing that Lex said while she and Oriana were having that conversation was Oriana essentially said, like, I'd like for this not to reflect badly on the group. And Lex was like, well, that means I can't consider you part of the group. Would your two characters like be willing to sacrifice Oriana for your alliance with Lex, or would you be willing to sacrifice Lex for your friendship with Oriana?
What friendship with Oriana?
I mean,
Perry's friends with Oriana.
Yeah, but that's Perry. Quinn doesn't have that at this point. He has no trust for Oriana because she keeps doing this stuff. And the fact that she keeps on coming to the group and saying, okay, well, I did this thing selfishly, or she gets caught doing said selfish thing. And then also will basically just say after the fact, like, or actually specifically like the whole conversation about whether she was going to call Cade. Well, I'm going to do it anyway, but I just wanted to know what you would have to say about it. Like, that's a shitty thing to say for a person that you were trying to have a conversation with. So like, there's been a lot of stuff that's just eroded the whole thing with the relationship that there is with Oriana, to the point where they're barely even work friends at this point. You know, like, they're barely the person you say hi to at the water cooler, like Mondays. Am I right? Like that. I don't know if they even have that going anymore, especially when this next bit of information comes out. Quinn is going to be completely done. So as far as whether or not he would be willing to let Oriana walk away and sacrifice that relationship for the sake of a relationship that could be to the betterment of the party, as opposed to one that keeps putting us in hotter and hotter water, yes, he absolutely would. He would allow that to happen in a heartbeat at this point, because everything she has done to create this situation and to erode the trust and erode the relationship. He doesn't trust her enough to follow her to get tacos at this point, because it would not go well, most likely.
Not even tacos?
I'm telling you, they wouldn't be good tacos. They would not be good tacos. That's the thing. Like, he would follow her to get tacos, but they wouldn't actually be tacos. They would be like very weird faux tacos. Like, they'd be some sort of weird
like
tofu. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, pretty much. Like, no, worse than Taco Bell. Like, I mean,
Jack
like
in the box tacos.
That there, you'd be going because she's promised like
words.
You'd be following because she's promising this like authentic, real, like handmade, proper Mexican cuisine tacos, and instead it's Jack in the Box at 3 a.m. and the guy making the tacos is a bit high, but not the kind where you can function and make the tacos properly.
Oh, wow.
You know, speedball.
Yeah, no. Short answer, yeah, Quinn would absolutely let her walk away in a fucking heartbeat.
See, and that's the thing. It's very difficult for Perry, because on the one hand, she considers Oriana family. But at this point, like, Perry's learning a lot about how sometimes people just aren't good for you. And Oriana's behavior has been progressively worse and worse. And Perry doesn't understand. She can't figure out what's going on with Oriana. Like, do you give a shit or not? Because I have a finite amount of energy to give. Are we friends? Are we a team? Are you worth my energy? Because if you're not, I'm going to give it to someone else. I'm going to give it to someone who needs it and who appreciates it. I've built Perry to sort of be a little empathetic, and one of the things about her is that she's always ready to be there for everyone else, but she's starting to learn that sometimes the people you're there for don't give a crap. And being there for them is only going to hurt everyone else. Mm-hmm. And at this point, she's sort of like on a knife's edge, and she has been for a while. She was very upset about the thing with Baltaim's sister because she was caught off guard and she said things that she thought were helpful. But now she thinks, well, no, I should have listened to Ball. We should have stayed outside the city. We should have let Oriana just go in town. Because now my friend has lost family again. Mm-hmm. Because of a choice Oriana made.
Yeah. But even that wouldn't have been an option because of the lack of trust that she would actually say what was necessary to make sure that everyone came out okay, and not just that she would lie and say whatever she needed to do to keep herself safe, to keep her head off the block. Damn what the rest of us need, and damn what the rest of us are going to be needing or wanting. It all would boil down to, well, no one's here to hear me lie, so I'm just going to go ham on it. And that was part of the reason why Quinn felt like, well, we all have to go now, because how can we really trust this person who is going behind our back to make this meeting to actually go into it with everyone's best interests at heart and not just her own?
Right. I mean, I cannot though say right now whether Perry is okay with choosing one over the other, because she has promised Oriana that she'll have her back. But Oriana has stopped having her back a long time ago, it feels. And she's stopped having the group's best interest at heart. And she's a little tired of hearing Oriana say, well, we keep making the wrong choices because you don't listen to me. And Perry doesn't like being talked down to. It's why she gets into these little tiffs with Cynric, where he will inadvertently say something that she feels is belittling. And Perry's
little mansplaining.
Just a little bit. Yeah. So like at this point, Perry's right there on the fence, and it's really going to depend on a lot of factors. How Oriana explains the situation, whether Oriana says the truth and what she told Perry, or whether she tries to spin it. And a lot of factors as to, what Lex says and how that conversation goes.
Also fraught. Okay, we should probably move on, unless I have a hard question I want to ask you too.
Okay. If it's math, no.
It's not math.
Proceed.
It's sort of the meta version of the question I asked about your characters. Are you two players willing to make Jake retire this character?
As a player, I feel bad about it. I feel like as a person, I feel bad about the situation. Mm-hmm. Jake is a friend. I play with him a lot. I have played with him in games where he's the DM. I have DM'd him. I've even played alongside him, like now in home games before. And, he's a good guy. He's a good friend. So I feel bad for him as a person that this is the situation that we're in. At the end of the day, though, it's him that's making the choices about the character, and him that's putting the character in the situation. And then if the story around said character is such that it is an untenable situation for that character to continue existing in the same narrative space as these other characters, then there is nothing more that I can do at that point other than to just let events unfold. And I will personally feel bad about it, because I don't like the idea of anybody losing a character for any reason. I feel bad that Jay ended up losing Dobby because of mistakes with worms and such.
Worm accidents.
Exactly.
Tragic worm accidents.
Yeah, the tragic worm accident. Or just call it the worm incident, perhaps.
The worm incident of 2020.
Yeah, I feel bad for Jay over losing Dobby, because that's a story he doesn't get to tell anymore. I mean, we're going to get bits and pieces of it here and there, but we're not going to get the story he wanted to tell with that character. And if this means the end of Oriana, I'll feel bad for him, because that means it's a story he doesn't get to tell with that character, and I'll have to come up with something else. But again, whether or not I feel bad for him does not mean that it won't still happen.
Yeah. I mean, meta-wise, I feel kind of the same way. The choices you make in game have consequences. This is not the first game that we have played with Serenity at the helm. We know that when we make a choice, we're going to pay for that choice if it's the wrong choice.
Yes, the universe will respond.
And we know that, we always have an opportunity to recover. But if you keep digging yourself into a hole and you can't recover anymore, The game is what the game is. And I will feel terrible if we lose somebody's character because consequences. Because we all love our characters. We really do. But the game is what the game is at this point.
Yep.
And none of us are going to meta our way out of this.
No, because I feel like that's insulting to do.
We all respect the game, the DM, and our fellow players too much to meta our way out of this.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll see what happens. Tune in on Friday. Tune in. You'll be dramatic. Anyway, and we're going to move on to our topic for the day with that. So we are revisiting an old topic, actually, which is DMing for beginners, which we are visiting today because Laura here DM'd her very first session ever recently.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
Yes, please. I was there as a witness.
So for Chad, my younger brother and his fiance, I am running Avernus because Chad has always been the DM. And I was like, well, right now we're not getting into the one I've been prepping for this core group. So I've got time. I've already graduated grad school. It's fine. So we set up a little teeny tiny home game, just like the four of us. And we had session 0/session 1. And it went rather interestingly. I had to decide on the fly, do not kill my kid brother's character because he's mouthy. Make that damage non-lethal.
He was getting mouthy to a guard while in prison. And for anyone who's not played well, I mean, the thing is, other places it may have worked, but the way that Avernus is written, the guards are, the majority of them, evil. And if you get mouthy with them, they're going to let you know that they don't appreciate it with violence.
I mean, part of it was I really wanted to set the stage as to like, this is where you are. This is the way things are. Because I wanted to make sure there was an expectation of, you know, this is the setting. This is the environment. So I decided based on their particular dark secret that they would have all been kidnapped and thrown in jail because it'd be easier to watch them. And then, you know, we can follow the module through, you just got shanghaied to work for the Flaming Fist. So I have like this nameless guard come in and bring like 2 additional guards to like bring them out to meet the general. And my kid brother's Dragonborn Paladin starts getting super mouthy. And I'm like, I'm going to have to tell him now in game that he can't run roughshod over these NPCs. They won't take it. You're replaceable. Like literally, that's your first encounter is you're told, if you don't do this, I will just kill you and find someone else to do it. And so I was like, I'm going to, he's mouthing off. This guard has told him to shut up. He won't shut up. I'm going to hit him. And then I accidentally rolled max damage on the die and I was like, non-lethal. Because I mean, I had the guard like flip their sword around and like whack him on the back of the head. And I was like, okay, well, I got to roll damage. Oh, that's an 8. Oh, no, never mind. Well, she rings your bell pretty well, and you know she means business. If you'd care to keep mouthing off, she'll deal with it.
Yes, and I think this is a good time to point out one important tip for any first-time DM. You need to find a place in the narrative to establish yourself as the Wu-Tang Clan. And by that, I mean nothing to fuck with. That was her moment.
No, you're a hard ass.
I care more about the story than anything else, but also like I needed to move the narrative forward, and I didn't want unarmed combat between the paladin with no armor, no weapons, no nothing, the monk with none of his shit, but does he need it, and the barbarian with none of her shit, but does she need it? I was like, my brother's gonna lose his character in the first session before we even get rolling if I am not careful. So
however, in defense of what was occurring, I will say this: your brother completely losing his character within the first 5 minutes of the session in D&D would be exactly the kind of catastrophic fuck up I would attribute to your younger brother. It would be very on brand for him. Very on brand.
Would. But he was so pleased. He was so pleased. Like, he was like doing his character and he was like, oh, I get a breath weapon. I'm like, yeah, you get a breath weapon, which he then tried to use. And I reined him in to scare some crowdsmen. Like, you're going to scare the crowd by burning them to death? That's what you're going to do? No,
I'm going to do it in the air. Where do you think it goes once it's in the air? Things can fall.
Does fire fall?
Depends on if you catch anything on fire, but also there's wind can blow it in a direction.
Yeah,
and, I mean, things are uncertain.
It was interesting.
Well,
but it went well other way.
Yeah.
It went well. Chad accused me of bringing out the Triss voice. For my Romanian pirates.
I mean, you did. So.
A little bit. But it's an easy go-to for someone who doesn't take any shit and who has a bit of an attitude and is a bit crazy. But we got like most of the way through. I found like I was really excited because there's a portion with the elf song and I found a version of the elf song that I could literally play. Ooh. And it like gives you chills. It's so pretty. I was like, I'm gonna cast this, and then it wouldn't cast.
No.
I was like, I'm gonna cast this to the home, you know, because we're sitting at my dining room table. It'll be great, and it didn't do. And I was like, shit.
Yeah.
So I had to crank up my phone and make it play.
Well, they got it. They got it.
Yeah.
But it was great because Chad's character is part elf. And then we have a wood elf barbarian. So kid brother doesn't understand anything because the elf song is completely in Elven. But it went.
But again, well. Him not understanding anything, completely on brand for your younger brother.
He just gets very excited about slaying a hero.
He gets very excited about a lot of things.
I had to rein him in and remind him, you're still level clown shoes. You can be a part of the revolution. You didn't lead it. It's fine.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. You got to get at least to level 3. Get your, get your subclass nailed down. And then you can talk about trying to lead the revolution. But talk about it is about as far as you get.
I was just trying to mentally assign like classes to various revolutionaries, but that's not a discussion for right now.
Next time.
Tune
in next time where we talk about what class is your revolutionary icon.
Oh, Lordy. Anyway, so I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad your kid brother had fun almost dying. Apart from nearly braining your brother, what about your first session was like different than you expected? What surprised you?
Because of the group I was working with, because my kid brother has played like a couple of sessions and his fiance has played like one full session. And then there's Chad who plays D&D like he breathes.
I'm the ringer.
I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to explain. I really thought I was going to have to explain more stuff or like really like push people to do things. But like, I was very surprised because my kid brother is all like, no, can I climb on this thing? Can I go and like, can I knock this guy over? And, because I made up a lot of the intro because the intro is very boring for Avernus. Like they literally just lead you to the general and like give you a mission and send you off. And that's boring. So like I set it up so that they would have to either like get the general's attention or like watch them literally beat the living shit out of all these commoners and do nothing about it. And so like it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Like there were a couple of times like Chad completely threw me for a loop like twice.
All I did is ask if there was money on the ground after the commoners were all rousted, like because she said the guards were picking up the occasional coin pouch, and then my character's like, did they miss any? I'm rather broke.
Money for me?
Yes. And then I did
take pity on them though, because I was like, it really sucks to be broke going into the first like actual combat. For there are mechanics where money is involved in this fight, and they have no money. Like they can't do the thing. But like Chad threw me for a loop a couple of times with like, we're about to go into the first combat at the very start of the next session, and like I have to completely rework what I thought was going to happen. Completely. But I really thought I was going to over prepare. And the truth of the matter is we didn't even get to where I thought we would get, but I was actually at a point where I didn't have anything left to do. So it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Nice. That's actually going to be my next question. Like, what kind of preparation did you do going into this session?
Well, because when we planned this out, I asked them, I was like, okay, do you want to do demons? Do you want to, which module do you want me to run? But then nobody had any character or backstory except for Chad, because he's extra. And it's very helpful that he's extra, because then I can rely on him to push everybody else to do stuff.
You're welcome.
But like I sat down and I was like, okay, there's some basic mechanics that this thing starts with. Like you have a dark secret, and who knows this secret and what are the consequences of this secret. So I, sat down, I figured out that, and I figured out like an opening that wasn't just, you are led to General what's his face. He says, work for me or die.
You do.
You work for him or you die. Go do the thing. If you don't go do the thing, they'll hunt you down and you'll die. So really mostly I just like, there were some notes about like certain NPCs that I just gave like some information in case they talked to him. And like, there's a note next to it, like this voice and this appearance and this person knows XYZ and it will cost you X to get it. And that sort of thing. But just like some very base notes, because I figured, well, I don't know how far we're going to get. Like, I just need to be able to flesh out a tavern.
Awesome. So now that you are both expert DMs.
Yes, I'm an expert now.
I feel very threatened.
Oh, you should be.
Coming for you, Chad.
Coming for your crown.
I'm gonna throw them hands.
Fight.
You laugh, but she's in the next room. This might happen now. I'm scared.
Throwing down on camera. Oh, we'll get lots of viewers. Anyway, so now that you guys have both DM'd before, do you think DMing is as fun as playing? Is it more fun? Is it something completely different?
It's a different fun.
Yeah, it's a different fun. I love being at the table and getting to do fuck all, and the DM just has to work with whatever batshit crazy thing I do. And I do batshit crazy things to Chad all the time.
Yes, you do.
And I play with people who come up with great crazy things like, let's Halo jump into a fortress.
Yeah, which I had to come up with what the mechanics are going to be for that skill challenge, and it's going to be fun, or it's going to go.
There's a smarter plan, but I think we're going to Halo jump anyway, because it'll be more fun.
It's more fun.
It'll be more fun to Halo jump in, and it's more on brand for these characters. Really, it is.
It's very true.
But getting to tell a story and getting to like weave that narrative for someone else is its own kind of fun. Like, I really enjoyed sitting down and being like, okay, well, these are the things you're going to come across, and this is what I can throw at you. And, this is the story that I want to tell. Let's see what you add to it and what we can do, because Chad's already like, I'm going to steal the pirate ship. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Well, now I have to get a map.
Look, you said there was a pirate ship. You said it could be stolen. I want to do that.
He's going to steal it. Yeah.
Oh no. Cause here's the thing. This is my vengeance for a home game years ago where I had like airships bombarding a town to try and destroy it. Her character gets up on top of said airship and is like, all right, can I figure out how to drive it? Like, you know what?
Sure.
Fuck, sure. Why not? I'm not going to say no to stuff. That's not your job as the DM. So just go ahead and just roll basic intelligence check, and we'll see if you can figure out how this thing works. And she fucking nat 20s and steals an airship successfully. So Guess what, bitch? The wheel has turned back around to me. I'm going to steal this fucking pirate ship
over him for years, to be honest. Like,
yes, you have.
It's one of my crowning glories, because he told me, like, as we were going into the like end of the session before, I was like, I'm going to steal one of these airships. I'm going to do it. And he goes, your character has no vehicle proficiency and has never even seen one. And I was like, that's okay. I'm going to steal your motherfucking airship, boy.
Yeah.
And I
mean, I had to honor the natural 20 because it's a sacred law of D&D is the natural 20 must be respected. That character was
very hot, very smart. So she had a pretty decent modifier. So like a 24 total. Yeah. So it wasn't like you just gave me a dirty 20 and, flat 20. I earned that, and I narratively made it work.
Yeah, I'm not saying you didn't. What I am saying,
I have held it over him for years. I've just, like every now and then I'll just remind him about how, remember that time that I couldn't steal the airship?
Yeah, like we'll be in bed and then like, Bebe, remember I stole the airship? Like, yes, good night. Yes, dear, accurate. You stole an airship, dear. Good night. Accurate, it is not accurate. It's more like it'll be happening over dinner.
She'll hand you some coffee, be like, hey, remember when I stole the airship?
I will be drinking out of, I have a D20 mug and I'll just like tap the 20. Just be like, remember this?
She'll slide me a bagel and more like, remember when I stole the airship? It was great, wasn't it? Like, So now, you wait. When we get this next session figured out and I steal this pirate ship, because it is happening. It is happening. If I have to kill every person on the airship 1v1 on a pirate ship 1v1, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have a fucking sailing pirate ship, and I'm going to rechristen it the Jolly Roger or some weird shit, and then you're gonna have to make that work.
That's fine. I've already I told you, I was like, okay, well, if you're gonna steal it or you're gonna try, good luck. But I'll come up with a way that it narratively makes sense. That you got it. I mean, you get to level at the end of the first combat because it's milestone. And they're like, make sure they're level 2 before they get to the next thing. I'm like, okay, well, fine. They're like, and I said, their ship is docked to X place. And he goes, can I steal it? And I was like, well, there's combat involved, but I guess you could steal it. Sure. He was like, would they pay me to steal it? Would this bitch pay me to steal it off her friends who she hates now? It's like, well, actually, yeah, she would, because she just would like to fuck them real bad. So now I have to write all of that for the next session.
Now all I got to do is wait till the dead of night and convince this person to give me a dagger of venom, so I can then just go into this pirate ship and just one by one knife every single one of them with my very Dexy monk.
Stabby.
Yes. Chaotic neutral, bitch.
Yeah.
To look forward to.
That's because the chaotic good paladin wanted to know if he saw the monk steal the commoners' purses.
Steal commoners' purses. I cleaned the street, thank you. I was picking up litter.
4 and Chad rolls a 28 for sleight of hand.
Again, very Dexy monk.
Nothing. You saw nothing.
You saw him adjusting bootlaces, but those boots don't lace up. There's something that doesn't track with that. Look, I cleaned up litter off of the city streets. I did a public service, and I deserved that money for the task that I did.
For thinking about would there be money left over, you deserved at least a small reward.
Yes, and I'm going to use that to further mess with the DM because the DM is my wife.
That's fair, because I have done some really, really awful things to you.
Yes, you have. You really have.
I have done some James Bond shit in our post-Strahd campaign. Serenity and I have done some really James Bond bullshit on him.
Yeah.
Nice. This is love, just ruining each other's campaigns.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that's part of the fun of DMing is getting to tell, even if you have a plan, the story shifting and getting to tell a new, more nuanced story because your characters are more nuanced is great. I enjoy being able to think on my feet and modify the narrative just a little bit. No, well, I know I have to deal with, you're going to go investigate this thing that I wrote nothing about because I thought you'd ignore it.
Whoops. Yeah. Gotta come up with something there.
I mean, at this point, though, she should know better than to ignore a thing that could be investigated by any character that I'm playing that doesn't have a direct goal in mind.
What's this? Something that sounds interesting? Side quest. So,
look, lady, you've watched me play video games before. Okay, you have been in the same room and you have seen what happens. I'll get the main quest Like, I'll get that right away. And you know what I do? I ignore that shit. And I go on all the side quests that I can to level grind up. And then I go back to the main quest so I can bitch slap whatever that is I'm going to have to come across. So you have no excuse. You've seen it in action many a time.
I also just like digging up, finding ideas and things like the little bit of research. Because I've got like an entire Pinterest board that's just like DM ideas. And it's like tables for treasure, or you loot X thing, or this is a story hook you could use. And I'm like, I am stealing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. There will be a City of Madness now. Awesome.
That sounds great. I'll take a Say of Madness. I'll take some little zombies or whatever.
Reign of Zombies.
This is the joy of DMing, just like stealing ideas from everywhere and cobbling them together into a more or less cohesive narrative.
This is true. I just DM'd a section of campaign that I ripped off fairly heavily from Final Fantasy VI, so I was quite proud of it.
It has been dope as fuck. It really has been. We have gotten to do some crazy things. We've seen some crazy things. We've had some amazing, bizarre roles that shouldn't work that do. And those are the best kind because child like, okay, go ahead. You can try that. Oh.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I guess to wrap up, that's the advice for new DMs. Don't be scared. Steal shit. It's fun.
It is. And at some point, you might have to establish dominance, like you're a predator in the wild.
You might need to establish dominance, but don't
just remember, kids.
Don't worry about it.
It does help set the environment, and it tells you set the tone for your campaign early.
Yeah, but don't murder your brother first campaign, first session.
No, I mean, honestly, murdering a level 1 character straight out the gate.
It's mean.
It's mean, and it really does sour the experience.
It's mean because of how easy it is. You could sneeze on a level 1 character and they die.
It would have been worse if he were playing a wizard, but he's playing a paladin. So he's a little bit beefier.
Then literally you sneeze on a wizard, they basically die. Wizards are like the aliens from War of the Worlds. They get a cold and forget it. Game over.
Wizards.
Yeah.
Oh, wizards.
Oh, wizards.
Indeed.
That 1d6. I feel your pain now as I play also a sorcerer. That 1d6 is not fun. Sad.
It's not a nice little die.
No.
Not a nice little die.
There's only one die smaller than that, and that's what makes it sad. Just the fact that there's one smaller, and God help you if you're rolling that for hit points.
Luckily, nobody does.
Yeah, I know, right?
That would just be cruel.
It would. That's what I'm saying.
You get 4.
You get, only if you roll well.
And only if you roll well.
Yep.
It's true. Only if you roll well.
Man, imagine. Anyway, that's our time for tonight. On that disturbing thought, be grateful there's no class with a D4 for its hit die. Anyway, thank you both for coming on. You've been lovely. Thank you to everyone who tunes in every Tuesday to watch us talk about weird shit and mostly D&D. But also like weird D&D shit. It's always really fun.
Weird shit D&D and weird D&D shit.
Yeah, those are our 3 flavors.
Yes.
Lord.
Also chocolate.
Also chocolate. We're expanding soon. We're gonna add strawberry.
Eventually, we're gonna get to 31. We're coming for your ass, Baskin-Robbins. Just wait.
31 flavors of weird D&D shit. Anyway, thank you. Tune in on Friday for Consequences and talking to Lex, probably. Tune in next Tuesday for talking about what happened on Friday. Tune in to our YouTube where we have the whole backlog of all of our episodes. Check out our podcast where we also have the whole backlog of all of our episodes, but which has commentary and also it's audio, so you don't have to watch it.
Listen while you're doing laundry or driving or something.
While you're doing laundry or like at work or something, like you don't have to concentrate. It's fine. Listen to us making weird jokes. Mostly that I'm not there. I'm only here. Once the show is over, like every Tuesday, I stop existing. I pop into existence every Tuesday. That is the dark secret of what's the damage. But now you know.
She exists in the very liminal space of Tuesdays inside the internet.
For 1 hour.
That pop in the background is where she lives.
Yeah. You know the dark secrets now. We have to kill you.
All right, guys.
This podcast just turned into the video from The Ring somehow. And also a YouTube video and Twitch stream. We're really coming after people. A lot of mediums.
That's a good thing. Rough.
It's a good thing our YouTube isn't monetized because I would have just gotten us demonetized. Anyway, can't say the dead word. We've got a store.
Sure do.
Sells mugs and t-shirts and stuff, and they're really comfy. The t-shirts, not the mugs.
The mugs might be comfy. We don't know. I'm large enough. I've never tried to sit in said mug. But if you have a smaller person in your life that's say, about an inch high, perhaps they could soak in this mug. Maybe it's quite comfortable.
Like a tiny kid or something. We have a Patreon where we post exclusive content.
It's also rather comfortable.
Yeah, come sit in our Patreon and take a look behind the scenes. Check out our cosplay photos too. Those are also there. Fuck else am I forgetting? There's something else. Whatever.
Podcast store, Patreon, watch us stuff.
Yeah, Twitter.
Yes, we have that.
Follow us on Twitter.
We're still mid art crawl.
We're still mid art crawl. So lots of cool art going up there. You can't see it anywhere else. It's beautiful, and you should look at it with your eyeballs. It'll make you happy.
Indeed.
Thank you to Sunbird and Lady Meows who did our logo and our theme music. We gotta go before I start with something else. Have a great night. We appreciate and love you. Good night.
Oh my God. Goodbye from this inexplicably comfortable related show.